as we get into our relationship discussion for the day. And we want to talk about tongue trouble. Those things that we say, haya maneno, yani, they cause a lot of issues. They can bring a lot of strife between us and our loved ones. And with me here to discuss it, I have a gentleman and a lady. Here is Mbugwa Mumbi, who's a marriage counselor and a life coach. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you very much.
Also here is Esther Kiama, who's a marriage counselor as well. Good to have you both here on set. Now, the tongue is small but powerful. That's what the Bible says, right? It can actually be very destructive. This very tiny thing here could be very destructive. It's capable of producing the sweetest words we've ever heard, but it is also very capable of breaking bonds, breaking down relationships, and destroying a lot of relationships. And that's what we want to talk about, because the truth is, in relationships, we are going to rub against, there's going to be friction. We'll rub each other the wrong way. And a lot of the times that just begins with certain things that we say. So maybe we can just begin off with reflecting a bit on both of you guys' experience as marriage counselors. What are some of the things that couples fight about the most? We can begin.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Thank you. That's a very, very good question. There's a lot of strife. There's a lot of conflicts in marriage today. Most young people today, looking at where their parents are and how they relate, feel that marriage is not the right thing to be. There are quite a number of things that partners conflict about, and they are not major things. They're actually small things. Matters financial, for example, are issues that they are always conflicting about. Matters sex, for example, are also issues that they will always argue about and conflict about. Matters in-laws, how do we treat, how do we manage our in-laws, even our own siblings, my brothers, my sisters, his or her brothers and sisters, and so on and so forth. Even in terms of presence or availability, matters responsibility. As a man, what is your responsibility and to what extent? Sometimes the other partner feels that you're not executing your responsibility adequately. Or matters of time, matters of your presence to me as your partner, or even to the kids. Those are some of the issues, the common issues that are afflicting relationships and marriages today, just to name but a few.
All right.
Yeah.
And Madam Esther, reflecting on what Mr. Mbugwa here has mentioned, about the different sort of issues that exist in relationships today, how does the tongue come into play in either worsening, promoting, dispelling, helping out those issues?
Actually, the tongue can do good or bad, depending on the couple. Like when they're arguing about life, marriage life, their expectations. A lady can say, this is not what I expected, or a gentleman. And that is the tongue. And this will disturb the spouse for a long time. Even the finances, as he has said, maybe you portrayed a different picture when you were courting. And now I've come to the reality that you don't actually have money. Maybe I'm the girl and I have more. And the picture you gave me is you had more than me. That's another thing that will make the girl use her tongue to complain and say many bad things.
Yeah.
Actually, the tongue in every aspect of marriage matters.
Yeah.
And that is why we say it's good to check on the tongue, or even think before you talk, because once the word is out, it will
There's
not
no
come
taking
back.
it back.
You can't.
And and speaking of that, once the word is out, there's no taking it back. Like, hakuna pause, rewind, right? And like we said, there's going to be conflict in relationships. These are different people, different backgrounds. And so there's something to be said about fighting fair. Because I feel like sometimes, even when you're in an argument, it is how the person argues and what they say that almost escalates the issue beyond the original issue. Can we talk about that, please, Mr. Mbugwa?
Oh, thank you very much. Allow me also to say that the tongue is only a tool, is a channel of delivery. And I like what Madam Kema has said. Think before you speak. It's actually the tongue delivers your thoughts.
And your actual feelings.
And your actual feelings. And your actual feelings, by the way, or your emotions emanate. The starting point is the thought. What are you thinking about this situation? What mindset have you created? What perception have you created? For example, he has started coming home late. All of a sudden, he didn't used to come home late, but all of a sudden, and he says it is the workload. Has the workload all of a sudden become unbearable, and so on and so forth? And very interestingly, Joyce, the words that are really creating fights in the family or in relationships, interestingly, they are not the outrageously offensive words. Actually, those are not the words creating a problem. The offensive, what you would say are abusive, vulgar words. Actually, that is not the problem. Research shows that about 80% of the conflicts are created by words that are very important, very friendly words in the conversation. Words like, for example, let's say, for example, you've realized your spouse has been, dispensing a lot of negative energy.
Okay.
He no longer interacts. He doesn't speak as much. You can clearly tell he or she is stressed. Excuse me, what is the matter, babe? Nothing. And you know for sure there is something.
Yeah.
These words like nothing, fine, okay, never mind, they're not negative words if you look at them. But really, depending on the situation under which they are expressed, they can be very injurious internally. They create internal injuries as opposed to external injuries.
Okay.
And you know the good thing with external injuries is that they're observable and you can take action against them.
Right.
But internal injuries are very difficult to manage. So it is those words, which then means in relationships, trust me, unless we devise a way of communicating and handling our own conflicts, because like you have said, conflicts are inevitable. Misunderstandings are inevitable. Even in heaven, I'm sure there are misunderstandings. But the thing, because, by the way, it's important for us to understand this word, misunderstanding. Misunderstanding means lack of understanding.
Yeah.
And when you manage a misunderstanding effectively, what happens? There is a window for understanding.
All right. Well, I think we're going to pause it there for just a moment as we take a break. But I'll be back with these two. And I want to go back specifically to what you were saying earlier, that the words that we end up saying are really projections of our hearts and our actual feelings, our thoughts about these people. So I want you to be thinking about the sort of things that you say to your loved ones, or the sort of things that you've heard them say to you and that have led into arguments. And does that make you think, does this person really care about me? 22999 is the SMS line. You can also send in some of your relationship questions related to this, and I'm sure these two will be more than happy to answer them. We'll be back in just a bit. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Thank you again for your company. We're here talking about relationships with my two guests. With me here is Mbogwa Mumbi, who's a marriage counselor and a life coach, and Esther Kiama, who's a marriage counselor as well. And we're talking about the trouble that our tongues cause, and particularly in as far as starting fights and in our relationships. And someone here is saying, Donna Dorek says, hey, looking great. I'm learning a lot thanks to our guests. Tongue issues. Once I said, sijui nilikuokota wapi during an argument. What? Wow.
Wow,
Donna Dorek Doris. Wololo. She says, till today, I'm still guilty. Where yani noma? Ati sijui nilikuokota wapi. Hey, Wow. But you know what? And you guys, I want you guys to send in your feedback as well, as far as things that you've said in relationships that maybe hadi wa leo bado nalipia ayo maneno ulikuwa umetamka. But also things that have hurt you in relationships, or things that you feel should never be said in a relationship, regardless of how someone is feeling. I'd love to hear from you. At www.switchtv, on Switch TV KE, and on Switch TV Kenya here. And you know, when you hear a statement like this one, I mean, that is very, that's a tough one, right? That's a very painful statement for anybody to hear. And just taking it back to what Mr. Mbogo was talking about, even it's scriptural too, that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when we're talking about these words, because you said it is actually an expression of our thoughts, it's an expression of our inner feelings. You know, that we can try and justify it or condone it by saying, "Ata sijui nilisema hivyo kwa nini?" But maybe there's been things that are bubbling inside of us for a very long time. Maybe you can comment on that too.
Usually when we talk, that thing has been in the heart. For example, what I said, especially, I don't know why we women, we think of money. We gauge the guys, and you
With
see
money.
now here, the way he's taking me to Panaris, the way he's taking me to Kimpeske. And then when you get married, he starts to tell you to meet him somewhere else,
Fantastic.
a cheaper place. That's when a lady can now, in herself, she's saying, this guy was a pretender. So when one time they're arguing, atamwambia pretender, or whatever, pretenders are worse than murderers. Unaona?
Wow, yeah.
Sasa akimwambia hivyo, the guy will be hurt. But imekuwa kwa roho yake. Mostly we talk what is in our mind. Sometimes you are even fed. Because a mother can ask the daughter, sasa huyo ni nani anakuoa? And you are madly in love. Unamwambia, mom, it will work.
Right.
The day that guy atakosa, unasikia msichana akimwambia, now who are you? Why did I get married to you? From what was fed to her,
Right.
and it has been in
And
there.
you're the one who was so smitten with him before.
So that happens, and it really ruins. And huyo ambaye anasema she's been guilty, I think they should talk, and huyo kijana amsamehe, because forgiveness brings healing.
That's true.
Atapona.
That's true. All right. Well, someone here says, hey, Joyce, good morning. I'm loving the show. You're doing really great. Keep it up. Asante sana. That's Flora watching from Zambezi. Hey, Joyce, enjoying the show. I love the inspiration message and I love your work. That's Doreen Johns watching from Masingeri, Nakuru. Good morning, Joyce. That's a great topic. That's Mary from Nyandara. Iman James here from Mombasa says, whoever keeps his tongue and his mouth keeps himself in trouble. I guess out of trouble, and vice versa to ladies. Someone here says, good morning, Joyce. I actually support them since those misunderstandings made my parents separate. My mom started earning more than he did, and a simple work promotion led to argument after argument until divorce. And that's Hilda from Kiambu. And this is a great pointer because, of course, we're in an age where a lot of women, you know, have even senior positions than their husbands nowadays. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to lead into conflict, right? Absolutely. And I want you particularly to address this, Mr. Mbogo, as a man too, that a lady, of course, a man wants to be the one to, you know, be the breadwinner and whatnot. But at what point does that become threatening? Is it just the fact that she's earning more, or is it about the way that the woman conducts herself and speaks to him once she knows that she is earning more than he is?
Now, that's a very good question, Joyce. My understanding and my conviction is that it should never be a source of conflict. Should never be. It should be complementary. Actually, we come into a relationship so that we can be collaborative, partner up. But unfortunately, like Joyce, you have alluded, sometimes when the woman earns more, the man feels insecure. There's a lot of competition in many partnerships in marriage, a lot of competition. Either because it could be from either because the husband is way ahead or above the lady. It could be in terms of income, could be in terms of education, or the other way. But we fail to realize something absolutely essential. It ought to be collaborative, not to be competitive.
Right, you're a team.
If my wife, for example, earns better than me, it doesn't mean she can own a better car. It means we can own a better car.
It's a win-win.
It doesn't mean she can live in a better neighborhood. It means we can live in a better hood. And that is why, and I'm glad to keep on referring to the scripture, the two became
One.
one. The two became one. It's like a prime mover and the trailer it is pulling. A prime mover and the trailer. There's no way they can collaborate. There's no way they can be able to do meaningful work separately. The only way the two can be able to achieve meaningful work is by agreeing to come together. And I think the biggest challenge we see in this relationship is that, Joyce, we do not come together, number one, to decide where we want to go. Again, the scripture says, two cannot walk together unless they agree.
Right.
What we are lacking in most relationships is that agreement, agreeing.
Okay.
And I don't mean a written agreement. I don't mean a contract. It is deciding, excuse me, this is our income.
Yeah.
What are our goals for this income?
All right.
This is, many partnerships, let me tell you this, are not founded on a unified purpose. Like Madam Kiama was trying to say, we married for what? We married for money. We married for status. We married for education. So you realize in many relationships, we have ended up partnering with a container because we were actually attracted by the packaging and we never verified the content. Only too late in the day do you come to realize, oh, this lady has no content. I saw the container. This guy has no content. I was attracted to him by the container.
Oh my goodness.
And out of this, it's like going to a supermarket, a very attractive wrapping of the product, only for you to open up the product and realize it's fake. That's where many relationships are.
Hey, are you dating a container? Umechanganyikiwa tu na packaging ama you know your person has content.
Do you know the product that the container covers?
Do you know the product? Gonna fake ama gonna original? Great pointers there. Let me read another SMS here. Someone here says, Joyce, I agree that positive words also does this mean create problems? Because like you're in a serious discussion and then the only answers you get are yes, no, okay. That really annoys me. This person says, thank you very much for that. And someone here says, hey, Full Circle with Joyce, good morning. And thank you for the inspiring shows you do every morning. I always look forward to them. My name is Mercy. And my relationship question is this. I know my tongue has caused my relationship, I guess, many issues. But this guy always wants to advise me and he can't listen to me at times. He always finds my mistakes but cannot see his. How can I be able to convince him my arguments and to be able to see the positive side of what I'm saying as well? This is from Mercy. Madam Esther.
That's a guy who is disturbed by what we call ego. He takes the wife like a daughter and not a pa. So he won't listen. And I wish he can listen because God himself called a woman a helper to come and help this man. In fact, when I'm talking to the men, I tell them, you are simply helpless because this is the powerful person.
Yeah.
So when the helper and the helper join together, there's good product. And there is no marriage that haina misukosuko. Look at Solomon. Is it Solomon who wrote the Songs of Song? When he was talking about the beauty of his relationship, what did he say in chapter 2, verse 15? Oh, catch the little foxes that are ruining our vineyard.
Right.
Just when they are blossoming. Hiyo ni mapenzi. Aliona inaenda. So what am I trying to say? When things come that way, go to God. Pray. Talk.
Absolutely. Eunice from Githunguri agrees that I think the tongue has a way to ruin. And I think the saying, think twice, should really be taken seriously in relationships. But unfortunately, we don't think twice in relationships. Tunawaka moto, and we spew it out immediately. And I don't know kama hiyo ni kuzoeana, like just because you've been in a relationship with someone for a long time, or is it also just a question of we also need to be able to master our own emotions and understand that at the end of the day we are in the same team. We need to learn how to fight fair, right? Very, very important. Someone here says, hey, Joyce, I love the show. I have a boyfriend who usually tells me all the sweet things and he calls me sweet names. But for me, I don't feel like I love him at all. What should I do?
And what is she doing fair?
Yeah, she should be able.
That reminds me of a story I read
Anapokea hizo
somewhere. I
masweet
read a story
names.
somewhere, Joyce. There was this master and his dog and a visitor. And as they were enjoying their cup of coffee, the dog that was seated on the grass kept on groaning, making noise. It seemed very uncomfortable and so on and so forth. Until now the visitor asked the master, excuse me, sir, could there be something wrong with your dog? And the master smiled and said, yes, this dog is sitting on thorns.
Oh.
And then the visitor asked, why can't it move away? It has a choice. And the master said, maybe the thorns are not painful enough yet. What are you waiting for? Honestly, you must be a slave. There must be something that you have enslaved yourself to. Honestly, if there's no love and you can actually express that, then are you not a tick?
Yeah.
You're a tick. Make a decision. Move on before it turns ugly, because it can. Yes.
Madam Esther, what would you say are some tumeshasikia ati nilikuokota wapi, but what are some of the words, the things that we say in relationships that can automatically, hiyo ni kaa kibiriti, it will automatically start an argument in a relationship?
By the way, like he said, not all are negative. Like you wanted to discuss something with your husband and you tell him, will you come early so that we can discuss, and he just goes, nope.
Yeah.
Just that, and he's off.
Yeah.
You get annoyed.
Sure.
I'll see.
I'll see. I'll see. Or seriously, like someone is telling you something and it's important to them and you're just there like, seriously? You're diminishing what they find important.
Or you have spoken 1,000 words trying to explain and asking him to tell you what happened, and he says, okay. You mean I've been talking all that all this time and you're just saying okay?
Yeah.
It really irritates women.
Yeah.
Because like I say, we have more words than them. We talk a lot.
Mr. Mbugwa, please defend the gentleman.
They have more words than us because
guys.
Our words are normally strategic, well curated, cultivated before we release them. So it takes time. It's like you don't conceive a baby in 3 months or in 6 months. So we take time to conceive.
Even after someone has spoken 1,000 words.
But really, I think it's a very, very important point. If she's been speaking to me, explaining things, and I'm silent, and finally I tell her it's okay, honestly, I am diminishing her.
Yeah, because it's dismissive.
It's like I'm telling her, okay, I don't want all that nonsense. I know. And although these words are not negative, and it's very important for us to do this, some of these simple words, fine, seriously, is as in, you're such an idiot, you don't understand this, seriously. And most importantly, it's important for us to say this, because in communication, there are 3 phases or 3 types of communication. Today we are discussing what we call the verbal communication. Very, very important. And verbal means the words that we use, whether through our mouth or written. But there's another one which is very important, also called the vocal. Because actually, even most critically, what annoys people is not just the words.
Yeah.
It is how the words are clothed, the vocality.
The
it
tone.
is how you manipulate your tone from your vocals. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So what? That is really, really, really what,
Yeah.
And I think this is really what we need to be very careful about, especially in relationships. Let's appreciate that both of us need each other for us to grow or to move in the direction that we have chosen. I can't do without her, honestly. She contributes to my well-being. I contribute to her well-being. So the tonality of the voice, and of course, probably later we'll talk about that, which is very, very important. The visual communication, which is the body language. How do you use the gestures? If I'm speaking to her, throwing hand, shouting, walking, that has a bigger impression and it stays longer in the minds of the people.
Absolutely.
So how we clothe the words is very, very important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't know, and I'm sure many of you guys would agree, the tone with which someone
Yes.
says things, it could be very innocent on face value what they're saying, but the tone. And ladies are very keen on catching up with those type of things, right? We're the first ones to point them out.
It's true, because actually we react from emotions. Them, they can take time, but we react immediately. And so if I had told my husband, I want this, this and that in the evening, and he says, instead of saying, I have no money, wengine wanasema, nikaibe. Nataka nikaibe. Unaona? Do I steal? To go and steal? And then the tone. Of course, that lady will be left annoyed and
Sure.
feeling demeaned and feeling bad.
Yeah.
So the men also, women fear those harsh words or the tone. Ukimwambia, hata wengine wanasema, babes, imagine sina. You hear the lady saying, it's okay babes, utapata. Unaona? Because amekuja vizuri. Yule wa kuiba na wewe utarudisha, umwambie. Si uende ukaibe Equity, si mnaharibu.
Yeah.
It can end up in a war.
Absolutely.
Mpigane for nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, do send in your feedback to 22999. That's the SMS line. You can also reach me on social media at SwitchTVKE on Instagram and at SwitchTV Kenya on Facebook and Twitter. We're going to be taking a short break, but after this, we'll be coming back to answer some of your other relationship questions and the things that you guys are struggling with. I have someone here already asking me about, their partner or guys leaving them because of refusing to have sex before marriage. We're going to be touching on this and so much more when we come back. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. I'm here with my guest, Mr. Mbugwa Mumbi, who's a marriage counselor and a life coach, and also Madam Esther Kiama, who's a marriage counselor as well. We've been talking about our tongues and the sort of trouble that they cause. And sometimes we've learned it's not about the words being abusive or negative, but it's, other things, and even our tone and how we say these neutral words that could actually spark a lot of issues in our relationships. And I want us to now go through the specific words, okay? Because there's an article here talking about some of the things that you should never say to your spouse. And I'm just going to give some examples here. Number one is to tell someone, you are just crazy. Over time when you hear that, like it builds up. And when someone is expressing their emotions, you can't call them crazy for it, right? Like, it's how they feel. So acknowledge that that's a feeling that they feel. We've talked a lot about nothing and the silent treatment of, okay, fine, sawa, one, right? Like, those things actually do affect a relationship. Maybe it's better if you don't have an answer at that point. Maybe it's better to just say, you know what, I need some time. Can we talk about this later?
Absolutely.
Right? Because this is your friend, this is your partner. You should be able to be open with them. Let's talk about this one though, Madam Esther. It's your fault.
He has done something wrong.
Sijui, labda mtu amesema tu, labda you're discussing something went wrong. Maybe there was like an investment you guys had done, and then something, you hear some bad news about it, and unasikia tu, in fact, it's your fault. Maybe the person didn't follow up with a phone call, but they were busy taking care of the kids, or they were busy cooking your dinner. But when someone tells you it's your fault in a relationship,
any negative energy puts somebody down. And that is negative. So it puts you down.
yeah. What about you always, or you never? You never do this, you always say that, you always act like, you never.
I think it's absolutely wrong. Anything that tries to pull somebody down, anything is inappropriate. For example, even in employment, we are one team. If she never, where have I been to correct her? Where have I been to support her? That's a question I should ask myself. Other than passing the buck and complaining, I must acknowledge my responsibility in your growth as well. That's why we came together. We didn't come together just to live together. We came together to grow together. Yeah.
Let me just point out some other ones because I know people are guilty of these ones. Ukianza kusikia vitu kama, unajua, Njoki who doesn't complain about her husband like the way me I have to complain about you. Just do not ever compare a man to another.
Very bad.
Or ukianza kusema ati, you know, ata Otieno, usually he even helps in the house. Ata yeye nasikia anapikanga kwa nyumba.
Oh my God.
Shida
kubwa.
Shida kubwa. Ama umwambie mtu ati, in fact, this is why my mom never even liked you. Or this is why even my family never wanted me to marry you.
Imagine.
My God.
Bad,
that is
right?
Suicidal. Absolutely
Suicidal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That will live eternally.
Yeah.
If I'm telling her that it was not my choice to marry her, where does that put our partnership?
Yeah.
In the rocks. Trust me. Because I've already told her, I don't trust you. I don't love you. You shouldn't even be here. That's a word that's very difficult to hear.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there's people too who actually in a relationship then threaten to leave the person. Others go as far as saying, you know what, I should even just divorce you. Like using that word in an argument is very damaging.
Very. We can call it in marriage massacre. Your massacre. Unamaliza, unaiua.
Yeah.
And Joyce is becoming increasingly prevalent to hear talks like, you know, I can kill you. That's very common nowadays. I can kill you. I'll kill you. You know, or I will break your neck, or I will, you know, and so on. I will break your leg. It's becoming very common nowadays.
common.
Yeah.
Those
yeah,
threats.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, someone here posted and said, you know, please talk about the word divorce said in a fight or in anger and how it affects relationships.
Because basically, it's just like telling somebody that it's all over. We're killing this relationship.
Yeah.
I'll divorce you. And you see,
And even if you're saying it in that, to me, it says that it's the fact that it's a thought in your mind means that you're not seeing me as your long term. Like you're willing to just switch off from me anytime.
and it also most likely means, in fact, it often means, is something you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Because
And you're
like
just
you've
waiting
said
for the
before,
right moment.
Words are an expression of thoughts. It's not just at the spur of the moment. It's probably something you've thought about.
Absolutely.
In
Yes.
fact, I was talking to a young lady and she told me, as we are getting married with an exit mind in her.
Oh, an exit strategy
They
already.
have an exit strategy.
That's terrible.
It is like on your marks, onto your marks. And you are waiting for something.
Oh dear.
Oh my.
Well, let's get to some SMSs because we have quite a few comments coming in now. Someone here says, good morning, Joyce. Esther Kiama and Mumbi are speaking words of truth into our lives. Someone else says, I've learned to use harsh words to counter, wameniandike in capital letters too, to counter and shield myself and build a wall. Good words won't work. And that's a wife who've posted this
If
comment.
you're building a wall, if I am building a wall with my partner, Madam Kema here, it means we are, for all intents and purposes, we are no longer together. We are separated. We are not reaching out to each other. If you're building a wall, the wall will not help. This is not a virus that you need to have a firewall against.
What do you think she means by counter and shield myself?
I think there's also an issue and you actually alluded to that, the issue of ego. I don't want to stoop low and face the reality of the situations we are experiencing. There's an issue of insecurity here. Because I feel insecure, I probably feel like she is, forcing things on me. But if I actually open up and we engage in a meaningful discussion that does not judge or blame or condemn, we can reach somewhere.
Yeah.
But when you close yourself up and you build a wall, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. You actually find yourself in jail in that relationship. Yes.
Wow. Hey, okay, my dear. I really hope that you first of all, acknowledge that there's clearly a very serious issue in your
Absolutely,
relationship
absolutely.
and then take steps towards addressing it. Someone here says, good morning, Joyce. I enjoy your topic today because it is what is happening to me and my husband. People have really talked about us and it hurts especially to find a group talking all about you. But when I tell him, he's like, okay, kama unataka kuwasikia wasikize. That's Mercy kutoka Embu.
Wow.
So obviously there's some sort of issue going on. The husband doesn't seem to be as bothered about it. And I think he's not being bothered about it is now affecting the bond between the two of them. What would you say to her?
It's a big problem because I should be concerned when my partner is unsettled. I should be concerned when he or she is not in peace. And I should know something that will affect me as well. Anything that I discover or detect in my partner that is not positive or contributing positively to our relationship, I should be concerned to dig it out and find how I can help, because ultimately it will come back to me. It's not about her or him. It's about us. So if I was this husband, honestly, and I'm really concerned about sustaining this relationship, we would sit down and ask my spouse, excuse me, you told me about people that you're listening to. Can you speak out? Let's see how best we can handle this situation. I think what is lacking, honestly, is productive communication in these relationships.
Okay.
Yes.
Or he's guilty.
Oh, he's guilty. You're right.
When
you could
he's
be very
guilty,
right. Yes.
He puts
Yes.
it off like,
He puts a
wasikilize
wall.
tu. Yani, utamaliza doa yako. Lakini he's
He
guilty
knows
of what
he's
they are
in.
saying.
Okay. So a very candid conversation needs to be had.
Absolutely.
They need to
Absolutely.
discuss.
Joy from Kasarani here says, good morning, Joyce. It's been a while and I had missed the space. Thank you for this discussion. And you say, personally, I think I tend to read too much into words and tones, even via SMS. And unfortunately, the very hurtful ones, if something almost similar happens again, the words just come back to me. It's a journey of forgiveness and healing as I also work on me. And I mean, kudos to you, knowing and acknowledging that, you know what, perhaps I overreacted to this. Big up to you. But you say, please ask the guests, why are men insensitive to words? Because sometimes they say hurtful words, but don't even notice. And if you voice it, it's like they don't see the issue. Ni mtu anakutukana na ajui anakutukana, alafu ukisema umenitukana like, wapi, sangapi?
And I think, Joyce, we are guilty of that as men. Because if we don't acknowledge that, then we will not going to grow or change. But then we must also acknowledge that there's a difference, and I think Joyce and Kiama has alluded to that. There's a difference between, in terms of the way we react emotions between women and men. Men have their own ego, because men will kind of respond more intellectually than emotionally. They tend to try and respond with their intellect. And because of the ego that is in us, where we want, excuse me, one of the greatest needs in men is recognition. Excuse me, you should know I'm the boss here. You should listen to me. I am the authority. You should consult me.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily saying it should be that rigid. It should be that autocratic. No. We must move away from that kind of, demeanor in terms of leadership and become a bit laissez-faire. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't help if I don't listen to my other partner. The most important principle of communication is listening. Let men listen. Do you know why we are losing many of our children? I do a lot of children mentorship, and they'll tell you, I fear my dad. We can't even share a meal on the same table. We can't even drive in the same vehicle. I would rather they go to church and I walk to church because my dad. So there's a challenge with us men. And honestly, we need to change our leadership style.
Yeah.
We need to stoop to the level of our spouses and the level of our children for us to be able to connect more productively.
Okay. Madam Esther, I want you to respond to this one. Someone here says, my wife gives me the silent treatment a lot and tells me nothing all the time. This really annoys me. So whereas we were talking about this as commonly being the other way around, hapa sasa ni mama ndio hana maneno, haongei.
Nafikiri huyo mama is that one who is putting a wall. Anajiambia, I won't talk. Let him continue doing what he's doing, but I won't talk. This man will not know his problem unless you communicate. And that is why we say communication is the best life skill.
So how does he help her communicate better? What do they do?
Let him take her out and tell her the truth. You hurt me when you don't talk to me.
Okay.
I am not comfortable when you are silent and you are not talking. Over a cup of coffee.
Okay.
And she might even say, I'm sorry. Maybe hata hajui. Yeye anafikiria ni her own way of making it work when she doesn't talk.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Some more questions here then. Men, we are irritated. Someone else says, men, we are irritated. Girl child nowadays have new meaning of money. That's Shady from LD. Hey, okay. I guess she's making a statement to the men. I don't know.
He's telling them to wake up, or what is happening? The
That
girls
no,
have
that we
moved.
are irritated. That when you say a new meaning of money, I mean honestly, for me, I
A
feel
new
like meaning of money. I think this is why we have issues in relationships nowadays, because it's not about love anymore. It's about wewe unaleta nini, utanipea nini, and relationships cannot be selfish. They cannot. Relationships are give and take, and
Absolutely.
that's what I'd say to that here. Someone here says, "Hey Joyce, my boyfriend and I don't solve issues right away after something's up. Like when chatting and I make a mistake at night, he'll tell me good night. Unajua wale watu wanakumalizia tu conversation hivyo, kwa heri, bye, laters. The following day after I text first, we behave like nothing is wrong.
Nothing happened.
Yes. It hurts me since I know postponing these matters creates a huge issue in the end. So when we're involved in a fight, you know, it's important. I guess I might be angry for many reasons, and then he says that I'm overreacting. Please help.
Number one, very clearly, they are sitting on a time bomb. And a bomb they've been creating themselves. They're using their very hands to manufacture this bomb. And they're coloring it. They're giving it the best color so that it appears like just a balloon. But it will hit them hard. Just like you said earlier, Joyce, they must address the issues that they are confronted with now candidly. They must sit down and ask themselves, how long can this move on? Because they are digging a grave. They are cementing this grave, and I don't mean necessarily death. If they don't address the issues candidly and ask themselves, what is our strategic plan in this marriage?
Yeah.
How far do we want to go? Where did we come together in the first place? What is our objective in the long term? Trust me. Then it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
Yes.
Madam Esther, this one's for you. Hi Joyce, what of a husband who has refused to talk to anyone? The parents, spiritual leaders, or me, and has refused to stop cheating, and now has a child with the lady that he's been cheating with. Ka huyu ni msichana wako, ungemwambia nini?
I think this guy is full of guilt, and maybe he's even a church man. That is why he won't talk to the church leaders. He doesn't know what to say. He won't talk to the parents. He's already embarrassed on what he has said, he has done. And so he has decided to keep
But he's still continuing to cheat.
Yeah, because that is the only solace. Kila mtu ako yani against him as according to what he thinks. Hakuna mtu ako na mimi hata bibi yangu. Basi wacha nikae na huyu ambaye at least ananiita babes. So huko anajificha huko kwa huyo. Sio ati hata ni mapenzi. Ni the storms that are around him, the church people, the family. He is guilty.
Yeah. Sasa
And
huyu mama afanyeje?
let him change, because he might even end up in depression. It could lead to stress, then depression. So
what does
let
this
them
lady
sit
do?
and talk, because I said forgiveness brings healing. Amchukue amwambie we must talk. You know, when you go so much to a man, you say, okay, let's talk.
Okay.
And they might end up somewhere. Lakini asinyamaze kwa sababu bwana amenyamaza.
She needs to be persistent.
Yeah, we must be persistent. Push until something happens.
We, haya basi. Ati labda is a church guy.
Yeah.
All right. Someone here says, good morning, Joyce. It's Wahoo from Gara. My boyfriend and I are so in love, but he's an insecure person. His friends keep telling him lies about me, and I try hard to prove that they are lying, but I see a lot of doubt in his eyes. What can I do?
So it's very unfortunate that, and it's very true that quite a number of men trust me, men are very insecure deep in their heart. And especially when they feel that there is some obligation they're not able to meet to the other party, whether it is financial, whether it is marital, whether it is sex, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And once you are insecure, just like the other example that Madame has just explained, do you know, once you're insecure, you're trying to compensate for that security by looking for people to feed you with information. Once you're insecure, this gentleman needs to realize that he is wrong. This lady or partner also needs to go out of her way to persuade him, you know, to agree to a sitting. Because trust me, when you bring third parties to our relationship, it's gone. It's really, really gone. We came together because we want to grow on the foundation of trust. If that trust is breached, it's no longer there, then we are sitting on ice. Yes.
I have a few more questions to read, but our time is also running out as we're getting to the top of the hour here in just a moment. So I'm just going to read as many SMSs as possible, and then you guys can just give us your final thoughts conclusively, covering all of them. Someone here is saying, you know, please talk about emotional blackmail. And that, I feel like that is an entire segment on its own, and maybe we need to slot that one in for another time, because that's a huge one. But Haggai Nelson from Waidaka says, Joyce, we need to be very careful about what we say. In Proverbs 21:23, it says, he who keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble. Dixon says, I was in a marriage for 3 years, but she left after I lost my job. When we were together, sometimes we would fight over her comparing me with other men, especially my close friends. Anyway, don't do that. When I couldn't bring home enough, and then threatened to find another man besides me. Oh my goodness, that was not a good woman to you, I have to say it. But you've tried hard enough to resuscitate your marriage, but it's been unfruitful, and you're asking for help. Another says, what does it mean when your man tells you he has seen more beautiful girls than me? Guy, is that being rude? Yes. Or was he just speaking his mind? Well, I guess both. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mind speaks, and it means he's, you know, he's looking elsewhere. Hey, Joyce, my boyfriend once called me mshamba for eating chapondengu. And then
very healthy food that is. Very healthy food that is.
And then I ended up calling him lame and insensitive, and we broke up that very day.
Oh my.
Someone else says, hey Joyce, I'm a big fan of your show. I'm really confused right now. Whenever I ask Babu Watoto a question, he says I should never ask him such a question. Last night I told him hakuna haja tuongeleshane tena. Hey, okay. Maneno, Jameni, I don't even have time. But very quickly, in like 10 seconds, can you just give us your final thoughts on our tongues and relationships?
Every time you're confronted with a very challenging situation in respect to your relationship, there's a strategy that you can use to ensure that you do not suffer the consequences of not using, you know, wisdom.
Yeah.
It's called the pause.
Okay.
Pause. You know the way you pause music?
Yes.
Because you want to play it later.
Yes.
You can pause your mind. You can pause, rather, your reaction, your response. Very simple thing. Before I do that, let me think about it. Let me reflect about it. Very powerful.
Pause. And 5 seconds, if there's anything to add.
Yeah, I'll just say it's good to discuss.
Okay.
Let them have communication, like you have said.
Pause, discuss,
yes,
communicate.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much. I'm so sorry our time is up. Thank you to everyone who sent in their questions and their feedback. I know we've not gotten to all of them. We hope to incorporate these into other segments moving forward. With that said, have yourselves a blessed day. Let's meet here again tomorrow for even more Full Circle with Joyce. God bless you. Ciao.